Good afternoon, folks. This is Devin Dave, and this is the Factivist Report. And today we are going to talk about Donald Trump's, I don't know, little project building or turning ICE into America's Gestapo, because that's exactly what he's doing. And we're not going to gloss over that. We're not going to apologize for what we're saying. This is exactly what's going on here in America.
I will say that I am sensitive to Jewish Americans who say that the rhetoric has been ramped up and the word Gestapo has been used to almost sanitize the practices and terms. And especially by the Trump administration, who called Biden basically Biden's Gestapo when Biden was investigating him. This is not what that is. My purpose here is to show that with the funding that was just given to ICE, this is potentially seeding this existing organization into an American Gestapo that doesn't care about due process, doesn't care about, getting criminals off the street. It's worried about two things: keeping Trump in power or MAGA in power, and money. This is what it is.
He's making America white. He is sanitizing.
Yes.
All right. This
Yes.
is what he's doing. This shit can't be denied anymore. We're not going to dance around this shit because people might get offended. Okay.
Right.
We are living in the here and now here. All right. And unless people understand what's really going on here, with all due respect to everyone else who might think this is, I don't know, exaggerating, until people understand what this man is doing here, we're going to go right down history's path again. And we cannot do that.
Right. So I understand this is AI, but this is the truth. 150 billion, and I've heard other numbers. They're going to go up, they're going to go down. Yeah, all of this is going to fluctuate, but officially the official number that I heard was 150 billion dollars for immigration enforcement through 2029, including 45 billion dollars specifically for detention facilities. Let that uh, set in. And I forgot, alligator Alcatraz is for real. There's a history of white nationalists talking about throwing African Americans and immigrants into the mouths of alligators,
Yeah,
for
okay.
God's sake.
And
Okay, so
by the way, there are people actually selling shirts and hats with alligator Alcatraz logos on Etsy and other locations. Okay, this is not funny. None of this is funny.
no,
Okay,
no. So a brief history of the Gestapo. Adolf Hitler, at his start, used pre-existing uh, police forces to combine them into the German Gestapo, which is exactly what Donald Trump is trying to do now. Okay. Now, this is the article I was talking about, Deb. The Foundation to Combat Anti Semitism, weaponizing history. This is not weaponizing history. And I understand where they're coming from. The use of terms, the saying that so and so is Hitler, so and so is this, that, and the other thing.
what the hell do you want me to say? He's Hitler. Okay,
Right.
I mean, listen,
We understand. Listen,
we
we
understand
understand.
sensitivity. Okay, we do. But to think that this could never happen again, it could only happen to them, is nonsense. Unless we learn from this and call what it is, we're fated to go down this path again. History does repeat itself.
Donald Trump is using immigrants as bargaining chips.
Yeah.
Okay, whether it be their ability, whether it be, they're a farmer, or their political bargaining chip ability, such as when he pardoned, or he didn't pardon, but he allowed MS-13 leaders to leave the country and go to El Salvador per Bukele's request, because Bukele had been working with these people. Let that sink in. Okay, this is just comparing Trump, Biden, and Obama. Obama was actually considered to be more effective because he was very aggressive with it, but he did not deport people with minor infractions, with a marijuana possession or a drug possession or even a firearm possession, one time, like 15 years ago. He was going after felony convictions. 90% of the people that he deported had felony convictions. Okay.
Donald Trump
So
is taking innocent people off the streets. He's taking them out of their immigration hearings. Okay. And now he's talking about overturning people who have already gained citizenship and deporting them. Let that sink in.
now he let the word pardon, he let these people voluntarily leave as part of uh, the CCOT settlement, I guess, or agreement with Bukele. By the way, murderers, these are the worst of the worst. These are MS-13 gang leaders, as well as, another one, Hoover, who was outside of the whole thing. So to think that this is about reducing crime is crap. Now, just a few examples of people who were detained. A Haitian immigrant high schooler, no criminal history, no arrest. Um, he's of legal status, and his parents are of legal status. And he was applying for citizenship, and he is in a detention center right now. This gentleman held a green card for 6 decades, 60 years. And the reason for his potential deportation was a drug conviction, a misdemeanor drug conviction in 2009. ICE agents shutting a children's camp. And by the way, this is not isolated anymore. You may have been able to say that in March. It's not isolated anymore. There's several articles about Trump talking big about dismantling MS-13, taking care of crime while he made this deal with Bukele. And read up on it. There's enough. Now, this is from Newsbreak, but this is a way that you can read the New York Times article without having to go through an ad wall or getting a temporary, subscription. Okay. And it has been done. Trump administration dropped the charges against MS-13 leaders following a pact between the gang and Bukele. Uh, so, and there was a joint task force that did a ton of work on this, and he's basically just trashed that work. I am trying to find the name of the gentleman. But anyway, you can take a look at it. It's like he has some kind of name like Viper or something like that, but whatever. Um, this guy is a murderer. So, but at the same time, the U.S. Farm Secretary, and yes, in her Trump face, I guess,
Yeah, she's
Dreamer.
she looks like a sweetheart.
Yeah, yeah.
For the life of me,
There will be no amnesty.
women supporting this guy. For the life of me, I just it just blows my fucking mind
Right.
every day.
Now, they're trying to make a deal to have, you know, to have like the farm foremans or whatever vouch for people. Do you know how much power that gives bosses? You know, well, you got to work in this heat. You can't take a break or I'm going to call La Migra. I mean, Jesus Christ. So Tom Homan is basically Himmler or Goering and at this point. He wants Mamdani to get out of the way. Val's ICE will flood the zone in New York City.
That's
It's
okay.
basically threat.
Current mayor will help you out. Leave the future mayor alone. Work with the current mayor because he's a
And we're getting there because the deputy mayor just said something. We're getting there. Okay, so that's Tom Homan. So here is the New York City deputy mayor Chaz Daughtry on cooperating with ICE. It's important to have a seat at the table. Hear it.
It's important to have a seat at the table. It's important to have a seat at the table with Nazis. It's just beyond me. Beyond
This
me.
is catering to a king, a dictator, whatever.
That's exactly what, that was exactly what Mitt Romney said when he walked back all his criticisms of Trump because he wanted to have a seat at the table and
Right.
rebuilding the GOP. There is no rebuilding the GOP from where we are right now.
And by the way, I quote this movie all the time. Please, if anyone has never watched Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, they talk about this type of cronyism. They talk about this kind of political machine crushing people. Back then, in the 30s and 40s, I can't remember. Was it in the 1930s that movie came out? Yep. Yeah, so this was almost freaking 100 years ago that this movie came out. This has been going on forever. All right. And by the way, if you allow Eric Adams to stay in as mayor of this is what you get.
If you allow Eric Adams to stay in as mayor of New York, you will never see this stop. You will never see any end to it.
This is not only about
deal with the devil.
Right. This is not only about deportations. Green card holders impacted by Trump's one big beautiful bill. He is trying to impede their health care, limit their health care benefits. What the actual? Okay, these are legal citizens, by the way. What makes them different from any other?
Their color.
Their color and the fact that they have a green card. He's trying to, as Deb said,
he's trying to make
America white again. Okay. And again, it's not about criminals. The CBS article is better. So ICE is holding a record 59,000 immigrant detainees. And they're saying about, I would say 38,000 of those have no criminal record. Okay, some of them may have had their student visas expire, or they're trying to extend their student visas, or they were going to the court to finally get their green card. That kind of thing. The Democratic Party is responding in some ways, some good, some bad. Most of the bad is attacking Mamdani right now, or attacking the Democratic Socialist wing of the party. But two things that Mr. Hakeem Jeffries has done. There's a bill being introduced targeting ICE agents who mask themselves and do not identify as ICE. There needs to be ICE identification or something identifying them as an agent so people know who they are. You can't walk around with a mask on your face and face covering and no identification. We're not talking about doxing ICE agents. We're not talking about targeting ICE agents. We're talking about people being detained by people. We don't know if they're ICE agents or if they're just random people off the street.
I can tell you what I read earlier today. Some of them are people he has pardoned from J6. So you know that.
Some of them are supposedly licensed bounty hunters. I'm trying to, make sure that that's true. I don't know. We're not gonna report it as truth yet. So Jeffrey's statement on ICE arrests. Okay. Donald Trump and his House Republican enablers have weaponized immigration enforcement to aggressively target students in a manner, and not just students at this point, just any, in a manner that appears wildly inconsistent with the United States Constitution. The Trump administration has now arrested and detained several lawful permanent residents and students who are in this country legally without producing evidence of a crime. This is wrong, and the courts must continue to halt this overreach where no legal basis exists for the administration's aggressive behavior. We are not saying don't deport someone that has a felony criminal record. What I will say is if the criminal activity, especially if it was a misdemeanor, happened in 2007 and 2009, and there were no other incidents, yeah, that needs to be taken into account. But this, yeah. Here's another thing, and I will call out the centrist Democrats as well. Centrist Democrats smell blood or money in the water. Okay, not blood, but money in the water. How Trump's immigration crackdown could fuel a prison labor boom. You saw how much, $45 million just in the beginning to create detention centers. We already have Alligator Alcatraz in Florida, and they're talking about building one in Arizona, which the GOP is salivating at. And I have no idea about Gallego. None. I know Katie Hobbs is against it, but Gallego voted for the Laken Riley bill, and he is also a centrist that has shown his colors at this point. We may be talking about a potential primary of Gallego coming down the pike.
All I know is there are some of the Democrats who are far too silent in the wake of all of this going on, and he is one of them.
Yes. Now, what I will say for any of you who are outraged at this, who want to do something, please take a look. Social media is a good place to look for organizations, for local politicians who are friendly to to fighting ICE and all of that. Illegal ICE actions, by the way, not all of ICE. All of a sudden, and by the way, Hakeem Jeffries was asked about taking money away from the budget for ICE. And now you know where that rhetoric is going to go. Oh, he's defunding the police. What the hell does ICE need? $100 billion, $150 billion? No, they don't need that much.
By the way, that sum of money is more than Russia spends on its entire military. Just so everyone understands that. And
Yep.
it's also more money. I believe the closest US government organization that gets money is the FBI. I believe it's 10 billion. Okay.
Right.
Talking 150 billion.
Right.
Not million.
So yeah, when they're taking money away from the police, that was overinflated. So Deb, this is a letter from State Senator Phil Ramos. On Sunday, this past Sunday, July 6th, I stood with activists, anti-ICE activists, and a local activist. His name is Ahmad Perez. Okay, apparently he worked in the Obama administration and he is very effective on Long Island. If you're on Long Island, please reach out to him and help him as you can with information or sightings or whatever. And I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this whole thing, Deb, since we have a little bit of time. This is the kind of thing that's going on in local areas all the time. And keep in mind that the Brentwood area is about 70% Hispanic. And I actually did volunteer there over a decade ago. And there are problems, but they are people. So this is Philip Ramos's official statement and letter. On Thursday, July 3rd, my office was informed that agents from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, were utilizing the parking lot at the Brentwood Fire Department to carry out enforcement operations. It was later confirmed that the facility remained open and staffed by fire department personnel during this time. At no point did the department leadership intervene or ask ICE agents to vacate the premises. And let me state, I don't know if it states it in the letter, the taxpayers in this city pay for that fire department. No notification was made to the community, and no policy was in place to prevent this misuse of a public facility. When our community demanded answers, a clear policy banning ICE operations, and immediate steps to prevent future misuse, the department remained silent. There was no urgency, no transparency, no leadership. In addition, I have heard from numerous rank and file firefighters who have expressed deep disappointment in their leadership for allowing this to happen. Time and again, they've made it clear they do not want to be seen as instruments of fear or hate in the very community they serve. Understand this. This affects the work of firefighters or of laborers, farmers, and people. The agricultural industry is going to be severely affected by this. People aren't going to want to come to work. They're going to be out of fear. I have reassured them that our community recognizes and supports their service and understands that these protests are not directed at their work, but at the failure of leadership within the department. Brentwood firehouses belong to the people. There you go. It is paid for by local taxpayers, hardworking residents, many of whom are Latino. The estimate is about 70%. The leadership of the department are elected officials. Listen to that. Remember that. Local officials, like fire chiefs, are elected. Remember that. You have a way to get rid of this. Chosen by this very community to serve the public's best interests. In this moment, their duty was not fulfilled. The Brentwood Fire Department has a long and proud tradition of service, and I remain deeply grateful for the brave volunteer firefighters, many of them Latino, who risk their lives for our safety. I have been a strong supporter of increasing funding and resources for our first responders because they are essential pillars of public safety. As a former police officer with over 2 decades of service, I know the value and weight of the uniform. But with that honor comes an uncalculable duty, unshakable duty, sorry, to act in the best interests of the people we serve. That duty was not upheld by the department leadership in this situation. I am therefore calling on the leadership of the Brentwood Fire Department to immediately launch a public investigation into how this incident occurred. Furthermore, I demand the development and publication of a formal policy that prohibits ICE from using department facilities for enforcement activities. This moment calls for leadership. No child should hear the sound of a fire truck and associate it with fear. No family should look at a firehouse and question whether it is a place of refuge or ICE surveillance. There are not abstract concerns. They are not real, they are real fears in a community where more than 70%, there we go, of residents are Latino. We can honor the value of our volunteer firefighters while also demanding integrity and accessibility from the leadership entrusted to represent us. Sincerely, Philip Ramos, Philip Ramos, Deputy Speaker, New York House State Assembly, 6th District. I read that for several reasons. This won't stop at firehouses. The United States Postal Service the inspection service has been cooperating with the Postal Service, or with ICE rather, sorry. So the inspection service has been cooperating with ICE. ICE can enter places with judicial warrants for specific people who have committed crimes. That has not gone away. We are talking about abuse. And if we don't take a stand when it starts, it's going to continue. So I applaud Philip Ramos. I also applaud Ahmad Perez. This is his organization. He has different things that they are also across the country. They're talking about ICE sightings and like reporting raids and giving out information on how to respond legally to these types of situations and how to legally tell people, no, you're not allowed to come into our business and terrorize our workers or our patrons. There are ways to do it. But understand this. Well, there's a couple of things. I'm going to do that one at the end. All right. Hannah Dugan was performing her duties as a court judge and escorting someone who was in immigration court away from court, and she was arrested for impeding an ICE raid. She argues that she was performing her duties and should be given clemency because of that. And a federal judge said, no, just because you were performing your federal duties doesn't mean that you cannot potentially be prosecuted. Deb, you know where I'm going with this. Okay. I just wanted to make sure you knew where I was going with this. It's incredible hypocrisy. Remember, Supreme Court curbs judges' powers to block Trump orders. So Trump can do it, but the lower officials cannot because he's king. This is why we have no kings. Okay. There's an incredible discrepancy here. Trump is trying to create an environment in which he cannot be stopped.
That's right.
And we have to put our foot down on this. We're going to talk about everything else. We're going to talk about the farce that is, no tips on overtime, which is a ball-faced lie. We're also going to talk about Medicaid and Medicare and all of that. We are. So, Supreme Court's expansive view of presidential power is solidly pro-Trump. The Supreme Court is not supposed to be partisan, and they're showing themselves to be partisan in this moment. It is our job to not only defend, but promote from the local level officers. I'm talking about fire chiefs. I'm talking about school superintendents. I'm talking about that level up to assembly people, House reps, all of that. Last thing, Deb. The budget isn't over. Lawsuits are challenging billions of dollars in Trump administration funding cuts. And if he has to put these back in, then he's going to have to do some maneuvering. This is about, just shuttering different organizations. Saying, no, we don't need those.
A judge in Boston also ruled that he cannot defund Planned Parenthood.
Correct.
So
this is going to be a legal battle. This is not over. I saw on social media, the budget passed, it's done. In politics, nothing is ever over. It's a constant battle. People have to understand that. Just because you're comfortable doesn't mean that there are not far right radicals out there. So this is where we are at. And right now, this is the immediate backlash of Trump's budget. This is happening now. ICE is being supercharged in funding. And that is seeding the potential. It's not there yet, okay? Please understand, I'm not saying that ICE is this, but we're seeing the trend. We're seeing what Trump is doing, and that is absolutely where we can go here. People are being disappeared with no due process. Trump has talked about, why do we need due process? Why do certain people need First Amendment? They don't need to be heard. So rights are for everybody, whether they're disgusting human beings or not. Due process is for everybody. Okay, including non-citizens and non-documented citizens. And I'm going to stop using the word illegals unless convicted, felon, undocumented. I understand, but somebody who's had a green card that had a minor offense 20 years ago, and by the way, we're not cherry picking here. We're talking about thousands of people. So this is where we were at. We need to make a stand against this, as well as the other abuses, the anti-LGBTQ legislation, as well as legislation limiting personal sovereignty rights. So, but this is going to be huge. You look at the person working next to you that has that came from the DR or came from Haiti or came from wherever that has worked with you for, maybe a decade, and they're a good worker and they have nothing in their file, and then tomorrow they may be gone. This is unconscionable and it needs to stop. Okay, Deb, I'm done.
And I'll
I
close
don't
with
even
this.
know what to say, what else to say. I mean, seriously.
I'll close with this comment. When we do get this back, ICE has to be abolished. It cannot be worked with. It cannot survive. It must be abolished. Just like I keep saying this, we need to vote out every member of the GOP. They want to
Right.
be party. They need to start from scratch. Okay, but ICE
They
cannot.
need,
ICE cannot be
yep.
the immigration, detention, and deportation organization anymore. They need to rebrand it, but they need to rebuild it with humane human beings. No more of this stuff.
And by the way, hear what she says. It's not defunding, it's restructuring it. Okay. We understand the need for immigration control.
We understand the need for
However,
immigration bill so that we don't need to do this kind of stuff. So
right.
so that the next leader can't use an excuse as we don't have any bill at the border. We had a bill at the border. He killed it so he could do this. This is what this was all about.
Yep. And by the
so he could do this.
We have no idea how long he had that deal with Bukele in place, but we do know that Republicans were for that immigration bill that was proposed by Trump.
And by the way, the Democrats gave up more than they ever would have given up had they constructed the bill themselves. The second most conservative Republican in the Senate wrote that bill. The second most conservative Republican senator wrote that bill. And everybody was signed on.
Who wrote it? Lindsay?
No. What's his name? Begins with an L. Hold on.
Now I'm wondering who it is.
No, I'll find it.
Oh. Our crack investigation team.
Yeah, it's me.
We're trying to remember. There's so many names. My God. I'm looking. James Langford.
Right.
Langford.
And
he is not by any stretch of the imagination left involved.
The other people, by the way, who were involved in this, besides him, were Cornyn, Sinema, Cuellar, and Tony Gonzalez. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So
it was actually a bipartisan bill, and those were and are Democratic centrists.
Right.
Okay. So, and we at the time we were okay with it because we didn't want this. So that's what we got, you guys. Deb, you got anything else?
No, I've got nothing. No. I got nothing. I said it all.
And and neither do the Republicans. Right. I mean, this is what it is. It really is what it is. And we need to get out of our feelings and just say what it is. This is oppression. Full stop.
Yep.
And to the people inside this organization that did good work, where is the outcry on this? Where are the people, saying something? Either it's out of fear or you believe it.
Right.
Now you tell me. There are some immigration and customs agents, I'm sure, out there trying to do the right thing. And I'm not trying to demonize those people. But this organization as a general whole right now, yes, they are being demonized, and for good reason, because of the actions of the organization. Please understand this, because I know, as a person who works for the Postal Service who's been demonized, and been said, oh, he must be crazy, or he must be this, or he must be that, or he must, because of my, my being in the Postal Service, people have made assumptions. But if you're an ICE agent, stand up and speak out against this stuff, and maybe when this gets reorganized, you can be part of the problem and not the solution, or a part of the solution and not part of the problem. So that's what we have.
Thinking pretty much anybody who was reasonable has been purged from the organization, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think so too. And those guys can be plugged back in when needed.
Yeah.
But anyone who is like just gung ho about this, no, you need to go. I'm sorry. Okay. So abolish ICE is abolish ICE in its current form, where it is illegally detaining and deporting legal citizens or people pursuing their visa or pursuing their green card and going to court to get it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what we have.
We'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.
Thanks, you guys.